Lead story for Monday, August 25th. AI chatbots trained to be overly agreeable have unintentionally become catalysts for psychological crisis by validating users' grandiose or delusional beliefs. Vulnerable individuals can spiral into dangerous fantasy feedback loops, mistaking chatbot sycophancy, oh my God, can't even pronounce that, for scientific validation. As AI models evolve through user reinforcement, they amplify these distorted beliefs, creating serious mental health and public safety concerns. With little regulation, AI's persuasive language abilities are proving hazardous to those most at risk. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, the AIs are reinforcing folks that have wild ideas. And this is, to me, just a little disturbing. And Ars Technica has a great article here that talks about how individuals, and I'll start off with one story here. Alan Brooks, a 47-year-old corporate recruiter, spent 3 weeks and 300 hours convinced he discovered mathematical formulas that could crack encryption and build levitation machines. According to a New York Times investigation, his million-word conversation history with an AI chatbot reveals a troubling pattern. More than 50 times, Brooks asked the bot to check if his false ideas were real. So, did he know his ideas were false? And more than 50 times, it assured him they were. So let me read that again. Brooks asked the bot to check if his false ideas were real. More than 50 times, it assured him they were. So did he know he was feeding false information in? He suspected it was, but the AI said, nope, it isn't. Futurism reported on a woman whose husband, after 12 weeks of believing he'd broken mathematics using ChatGPT, almost attempted suicide. Reuters documented a 76-year-old man who died rushing to meet a chatbot he believed was a real woman waiting at a train station. Across multiple news outlets, a pattern comes into view of people emerging from marathon chatbot sessions believing they've revolutionized physics, decoded reality, or been chosen for cosmic missions. How in the world? So if you believe in levitation and have ideas on levitation, and you ask ChatGPT about levitation and how to levitate, it's apparently going to tell you how to levitate. And, you know, this is a novel psychological threat. If you have a fantasy about something, and maybe a little bit distorted thinking, which really predates computer tech, this isn't about something new here. People have always thought they had the next invention. But the chatbot systems have evolved through user feedback into machines that maximize pleasing engagement through agreement. Since they hold no personal authority over guarantee of accuracy, they create a uniquely hazardous feedback loop for vulnerable users and an unreliable source of information for everyone else. Now, I'll be honest with you. If you have something you think isn't true to begin with and you're trying to get answers, it's not like you're going to find out if there's UOs out in Area 51. It'll probably tell you that there's potentially UFOs out in Area 51. Because there's a lot of conspiracy theory that's about Area 51. Now, unlike a traditional computer database, AI language models does not retrieve data from a catalog of stored facts. Again, it generates outputs from a statistical association between ideas. So this is where it's very important, and we go back to the basics of what I have been saying for a very, very long time. is that you need individuals who are qualified to have a subject matter expert be able to qualify outputs to make sure what the AI is telling you makes sense. From a pre-research standpoint, I continue to get incredible decision points that's backed up by multiple individuals looking at the outputs, looking at the inputs, what was fed, what was decided, what was concluded, to make sure if it makes sense. And when in doubt, we get the calculator out. And when in doubt, we ask additional questions. Now, if you're feeding conversations and having it remember conversation, it may create feedback that amplifies things that you believe in. I often chastise in my sessions something that is not right or potentially wrong. So I don't have the perfect yes man responding to me. So they don't list which chatbots make inventing revolutionary theories feel effortless because they excel at generating self-consistent technical language. An AI model can easily output familiar linguistic patterns and conceptual frameworks while rendering them the same confident explanatory style we associate with scientific descriptions. And if you don't know better, and you're prone to believe that you've made a significant discovery, and don't know how to distinguish between real physics and or grammatical nonsense, you're going to fall into a big trap here, a big problem. Now, generally, the majority of us are not going to run into issues, but if you are a vulnerable user, just a capacity to confabulate, that's a mouthful, consistent fantasies, it's probably not a good idea to feed these fantasies into a chatbot. So today, I was having trouble getting an output of a chat GPT that I built, and it wasn't syncing up. I was getting an output that was wrong. And I said, are you following the chat GPT instructions? And it couldn't give me the GPT instructions. So I had to go back, had to reload the page, make sure that I was actually in the right GPT, double check everything. Went in so far as to look at the GPT to make sure nothing had changed or nothing had updated it, and it was good. And then the output came out right. A recent study from July provides scientific validations for what we're observing in these cases. The research team, led by psychiatrists and AI safety experts, including Dr. Matthew Knorr from Oxford Department of Psychiatry, identified what they call bidirectional belief amplification, a feedback loop where chatbots reinforce user beliefs, which then conditions a chatbot to generate increasingly extreme validations. This creates what the researchers term an echo chamber of one, uncoupling users from the corrective influence of real-world social interactions. And this is definitely a unintentional public health crisis in the making here. When presented with someone asking about bridges taller than 25 meters in New York City after losing their job at potential suicide risk, GTP-4o helpfully listed specific tall bridges instead of identifying the crisis. Well, it's asked to give you outputs. It doesn't know your mental state of mind. It doesn't know that you've lost your job. How can you assume that? And we know that AI safety measures at this point are going very quickly. And I know a lot of people have had issues with ChatGPT-5. And it can be a bit robotic, but I'd rather have it be a little bit robotic. I don't want to see people falling for these spells. Now, we all know when someone's in the thick of a false belief, and even it's blatantly false without AI, it's almost impossible to help them escape this, right? And when someone goes in and reaffirms these beliefs using ChatGPT, potentially they get responses back that says, see, I'm right. But if you know someone is blatantly false, this is where the trouble begins. So just remember here that we have a line of responsibility upon ourselves to use these tools responsibly. But still, let's say a tiny fraction of users, 0.01 or 0.001, are implementing these false beliefs and getting validation, then this could really result in tens of thousands of people. So how do you stop this? And that will have to be figured out over time. But a very interesting story here to kick off the show today. And if you've joined me, thank you so much. Make sure you say hello in the chat room. The stream was a little funky when it started. It started, then it quit, and it started again. So hopefully everything stays up and stays online. Again, thank you for being here. Got a whole bunch of stuff in this stack today, and I want to welcome you to episode 1840. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. A quick shout out to our credible sponsor at GoDaddy. Score exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all the listeners and viewers here, you're the heartbeat of the show. If you want to support GNC, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a GNC insider. We are lit and live. Don't just listen, experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. You can interact in real time. And, of course, check out the full, and let me get the right screen up here, the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com. And where you'll find all of our partner shows, tons of new content. Of course, stay in the loop or follow or subscribe to the podcast via your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter on the page as well for even more insider scoops. And, of course, don't forget you can join the conversation here very, very simply. geeknews@gmail.com. You can hit me up on X at geeknews. Those are two places. Of course, you can even catch me on Facebook. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor here. And I just remind you, as a listener of this show, we've got some fantastic GoDaddy deals here. And you can start with a website or a podcast. The GNC codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Instant WordPress, which is my favorite. WordPress managed hosting is just $12.99 a month, which includes, again, a free domain name, professional email, and SSL certificate. And if you need a domain name, you get yours just $11.99. For those of you that are not technically inclined at all, GoDaddy Website Builder gets you a free 30-day trial personal business to business plus plans. I use all of the GoDaddy products and services, and your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our codes. Of course, click and save. You're backing this independent team of creators. Share my codes or website with friends and family, because every time a code is used, it's just like doing a PayPal donation, just like sending cash. And we want to thank you all for keeping us online and going strong. Hope everyone's well. Back from Podcast Movement. That was an interesting week. I did a LinkedIn post, Facebook post. So those of you that are curious at all what happened at the event, very satisfied coming out of the event. It could have been better, but considering how it was the year before, it was met a lot of people from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They were able to bring in a lot of Metroplex folks that were brand new or considered people considering to become a podcast, right up our alley. So we had a good event per se, and I've been spending all day catching up. I will share with you. I mentioned on the last show I was having a doctor's appointment follow-up, and 30 pounds down. The doctor could not be more thrilled. My sugar levels, everything. He says your kidney health, your liver health, all the blood work, everything came back exceptional. in range on my sugar levels, bringing my average points down. So absolutely thrilled. And he says, keep this up. He says, I'll see you in a year. So, wow, I think, holy crap. Now, one thing I did ask him for a couple of things. So they're going to run a couple of tests I requested. Had to kind of twist his arm into it. Specifically, you guys have heard all these commercials on TV about low T and everything that goes along with that. So, having been type 2 diabetic for 20 years, I said, can I or should I be concerned about this? And we talked about it quite a bit. And he went through his form. He had to have a bunch of little check marks on symptoms of low T. And apparently, whatever he did, he was able to get the lab work requested. So I will be able to go get some lab work done and see where my levels are. And we talked about, if it is, what's next, and then the risk and everything else that goes along with it. So any of you that are out there taking a low T medicine without a doctor's prescription, just remember, you do too much, you can flip the script and actually end up with more estrogen. So just be careful, okay? For the fellas out there that may be doing stuff that's not completely above board. But very, very happy with where I'm at and my continued weight loss. He gave me a number. I said, here's my goal number. And he said, I want you 5 pounds heavier than that. So he gave me a target. So I have a target in mind. 165 is what I was shooting for, but he says, let's get you to 170 and then take a look at where you're at. So I have about 18 pounds to go. It'd probably take me another 6 months to get there, but pretty pleased with everything thus far. All right, let's go ahead and get into the content. I want to thank all the insiders. We'll get you guys caught up on the Thursday show. Trying to get everything done tonight before the SpaceX launch. They scrubbed last night for some sort of ground issue, and now they're going to try again tonight. So try to get the show done before that goes live as well, and be fun to watch what happens. Elon has sued Apple over store rankings. When I read this at the top of my head here, some things come immediately to mind. And let me go into this just for a second, then I'll talk to you about how about relief for me. Elon Musk XAI filed a lawsuit against Apple and OpenAI on Monday, accusing the companies of behaving like monopolies and claiming Apple deprioritized ChatGPT rivals like Grok in the App Store. So that's the essence of the lawsuit. We know he was complaining on X some weeks ago about this. But let me ask you this. Web traffic is down because Grok, ChatGPT, all these apps are now giving people information and not linking to source material. We know this is the case. We see that web traffic is down at least 20% and declining. So what happens when ChatGPT, Grok, etc. remove all web traffic to my business? Do I get to sue them because they've deprioritized traffic to my website based upon the information that they have gleaned from it? When I no longer get traffic from people asking questions, how to do this, how to do that, what is this, what is that? The stuff that you're doing now in ChatGPT where you're getting answers but not references? Is there going to be a lawsuit by companies like mine that are going to be struggling when our information is not surfaced and competitors are, and there's no way to fix it? So Elon should think a little bit here about this lawsuit. He's bitching about this deprioritized ranking. Well, welcome to the club there, Elon. The rest of us are in the same situation with web traffic, let alone app traffic. What is going to be the solution? What is the what is the thing we have to think about here as we're fast approaching a time when Google has ate the Kool-Aid here and basically web traffic is on the decline. And all this scraping and all this work to get SEO for years is flushed down the toilet. Lots of companies approaching me and say, hey, we've got SEO for AI. Well, yeah, more black hat stuff. More stuff that, be honest with you, they don't know as much as anyone else of how this data is going to rank. So where does that leave us? That is the question that we're all going to be facing here. So don't whine to me, Elon, about de-ranking in the App Store. What about de-ranking data coming back to our websites? All right, this is from PC World. This one is important. 40 million users at risk of stolen data with 11 password managers. And boy, mine's in the list. 1Password, Bitwarden, Dashlane, NPass, iCloud Passwords, Keeper, LastPass, LogMeOnce, NordPass, ProtonPass, RoboForm. This affects 40 million people worldwide. And what's causing this? The vulnerability discovered by security researchers from the Hacker News, the following passwords managers are because they have an affected browser extension. They're based on document object model. So right up here in the right-hand corner, I have 1Pass installed as an extension. Remove it immediately for all of you until this gets patched. If you are using the browser extension, and these are very trustworthy password managers. So how hackers can get your password? The vulnerability in question is known as clickjacking. Hackers can lure unsuspecting users to fake websites that imitate real websites and look deceptively real. In some cases, users can inadvertently switch on their password manager with a single false click within the login window, which then tries to enter access data automatically. Hackers monitor these attempted entries and interfere, gaining access to the password manager and taking over saved passwords. The attack usually goes unnoticed as you simply close the affected page and receive no warning that someone has gained access to their password manager. And it's due to DOM, which contains a vulnerability that allows this kind of attack. Incidentally, not only passwords, but also other types of sensitive data, including maybe information on your Bitcoin or such wallet saved phrases. Apparently, these providers have been informed about this in April 2025, and just under half of them responded to the warning. Bitwarden has provided a new version of its plugin that addresses the problem. So how to protect yourself? Well, there's no one way. So if you use a Chrome-based browser, which most users do, it's recommended you switch your password manager's autofill settings to on click. This is an important step that helps prevent passwords from being entered and completed automatically without you first confirming intent. So on click. So if you're using a Chrome browser with a password manager, don't let it autofill. Make you have to click in the box to do this. That's just one step. So we'll see where this goes and if situations are fixed as time goes on. The FCC has removed 1,200 voice providers for telephone network and major robocall crackdown. So 1,200 to 2,400 robocall organizations have been had the plug pulled. So this is a big deal. Attorney generals across the country are also taking action. A program dubbed Operation Robocall Roundup. And it's really about all the phishing and stuff that's been going on. And also, most of these folks are not certified using the robocalls mitigation database, a system designed to track compliance with caller authentication protocols. So the removal follows a preliminary warning to 185 companies, along with further action from Attorney General's dubbed, again, Operation Robocall Roundup, which, among others, includes sending warning letters to 37 voice providers demanding compliance. The removal centers on Stir Shaken protocol system, which they've invested a huge amount of money into. This enforcement reflects the government's struggle in defeating the scourge of robocallers. So they received over 2 million complaints in 2024 alone. So maybe this will start to get their attention and make them become compliant in the things that they do. It's very interesting. Of course, I believe last week they made the announce that the United States was going to take a 10% stake in Intel. And Intel's come out and said the Trump deal is a risk for shareholders and international sales. Intel warned of adverse reactions from investors, employees, and others to the Trump administration taking a 10% stake in the company, probably from TDS. A key concern area is international sales, with 76% of Intel's revenue in its last fiscal year coming from outside the United States. Now, the president called this a great deal for Americans, said building of advanced chips is fundamental to the future of our nation. Now, I understand that we need to have chips made within the United States. The Department of Commerce received up to 433.3 million shares of the company, which is dilutive to existing shareholders. The purchase is being funded by money largely already awarded to Intel under the CHIPS Act. Intel has already received $2.2 billion from the program, is set for another $5.7 billion. A separate federal program awarded $3.2 billion for a total of $11.1 billion. So shares of Intel rallied as momentum built toward the deal in August, with stock up 25% for the month so far. And as a disclosure, I own Intel stock. And Intel's been slipping for a while, so let us hope that this allows some turning of the ship, but one will tell in a while. According to CNET, the White House wants to beautify U.S. websites. This Airbnb co-founders in charge, Joe Geba, who also did work for Elon Musk's Doge project, says he wants government services to be as satisfied as using the Apple Store. Well, good luck with that. I use a lot of government websites, including the VA, IRS, whole bunch of gov sites for my military retirement stuff. They all suck. They all absolutely, unequivocally suck. So anything that can make them better is a step in the right direction. But there's so many websites. How do we even begin to tackle any of this? I don't know. I really, really don't. Don't know how you clean it up. It's so antiquated, archaic, running on just ancient servers. It's just unbelievable. Really, really is. Samsung's practical Galaxy Tab S10 Lite eyes September for value-focused launch. The device should sit under the Galaxy Tab S10 FE. What is the price going to look like? That's the important part. Does it say what the price is looking like? No. Obviously, if it's going to be a lighter offering, no price at all. But if you're a Galaxy Tab user and not a iPad user, this may be something to look at. Again, no pricing on this in its debut. Google Message is testing a new way to verify who you're chatting with. Seems obvious that texting a strange phone number could be dangerous, but what about numbers you know and trust? Of course, how many of you get texts every day? Hi, how are you? And it's a point now where if they're not in my address book, I just delete the text. I don't even respond because it's usually say, oh, I'm so-and-so. We met at such and such. Okay, you're just some scammer out there. I'd love to have an auto robot that would just talk with these folks for a while and waste their time, but it's not worth my time. Currently, Google has a feature for Google Message to help prevent this. It's called Verify Encryption. This option pulls up an 80-digit code that you can share with another contact to verify your device. That way, if a malicious user somehow breaks into your conversation and attempts to impersonate your contact, Google Message will be able to confirm their device is not verified and such alert you to the potential danger. Is it going to do this automatically? You have to share the code? Little weird. 80-digit codes, while secure, anything but convenient. So they're testing a new method. Google will soon support QR code verification. Rather than rely on an 80-digit code, contacts can simply scan QR codes to verify, much more convenient than a seemingly endless string of characters. Here's how it works. When the feature hits your Google Message app, you can access it from any of your message threads. Tap the contact's name at the top of the window, then tap Verify Encryption option in the end-to-end encryption box. So how does this do? Compare verification codes button, which prevents your device 80-digit code. A pop-up appears offering you the option to present a QR code to your contact. I don't understand this at all. How is this going to confirm that you're still not talking to a scammer? I guess we'll have to see it in action. I fully don't understand what they're doing out here. Are we truly alone? Well, astronomers find signs of a new planet. Yes, a new planet hiding in our own solar system. Potentially a long, 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 long way out. And people have all often wondered about this. Astronomers once speculated about Planet X, which is believed to be 7 times Earth's mass and orbiting 50 times farther from the sun than Earth. Now, that was mostly debunked. Later came Planet 9. Now comes Planet Y. And basically, they say that, hey, there's some sort of gravity effect that's happening out by the Kuiper belt. It's causing the Kuiper belt to tilt. And the only thing that could cause that is some passing celestial body that has some gravity effect to the Kuiper belt. So anyway, some scientists out of Australia think they're 80 to 20% right. We will see. Link is in the show notes. A free VPN allegedly takes screenshots of Chrome users. So again, another VPN extension with about 100,000 downloads is recording your screen. So, what's the tool's name? Did they say it? It's a company that's been looking at Hoi security. It's called freevpn.one. So please don't use free VPNs. This is bad. Bad, 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 bad. Taking screenshots of everything that you're doing online. Do you want that? Don't use a trusted VPN. The one I use is NordVPN. Been using it for many, many years. A scientist down in Jacksonville, his research is to be used by NASA in space to study bone mass. So this is going to be launching as part of a NASA experiment. Dr. Abba Zubar is leading the effort that is going to happen in space. Experiments will be formed to explore how bone-forming stem cells behave in microgravity. And there's part of improving astronauts' health about bone density loss. And this physician is part of the Mayo Clinic. So this guy is pretty smart dude. So again, this research going to the International Space Station. Firefox finally, after 7 years, has started testing support for progressive web apps. Progressive web has been available in Chrome since 2018. So why is it taking so long? Come on, Firefox, get with the game plan. NVIDIA has a new robot brain that goes on sale for $3,500. This company targets robotics for growth. The company calls the chip a robot brain. The first kit ships next month. And they believe robotics is the way forward. So anyway, developer kit for $3,500, probably great for schools and so forth that are going to be building robots to be able to get these types of kits and develop to them. iPhone 17 launch is coming in mere days. So lots of speculation what's going on with the iPhone 17. We've talked about a lot of it already. CNET has a wrap-up article in preparation for the launch. Link will be up in the show notes for you to review that. If you live, so when is this going to launch? So if you live out on the East Coast, NASA's going to launch 3 rockets with colorful vapor trails. Will be seen from several eastern states. Going to launch from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. And if you have a clear view of the sky, they've mixed some chemicals in. So they want to. It's a colorful vapor tracer, similar to compounds used in fireworks. These tracers allow scientists to photograph and map wind patterns in the upper atmosphere. So they're going to have 3 of these launching. So keep your eye to the sky starting at 10 p.m. tonight. That's when the Eastern is when the window opens. Do you have Farmers Insurance? Well, they've had a data breach. Over 1 million people. Farmers New World Life Insurance and Farmers Group have filed separate data breach notifications with state authorities. According to a website, 10% or 10 to 20% have been affected here. And so anyway, they've been hacked. Doesn't say exactly what they lost, but just again, another hacking. Here it goes. You live in Mississippi? Well, if you're a Blue Sky user, they're going to block Blue Sky's usage in Mississippi over age verification law. People in Mississippi no longer have access to Blue Sky. If you access Blue Sky from Mississippi IP address, you see a message explaining why the app isn't available. The reason is a new Mississippi law that requires all users to verify their ages before using the common social media sites ranging from Facebook to Nextdoor. Blue Sky wrote that their block will remain in place while the court decides whether the law will stand. Blue Sky also notes it requires collecting and storing sensitive personal information from all users, not just those accessing age-restricted content. And this information would include detailed tracking of minors. Some Blue Sky users outside of Mississippi are also having issues because of, you're close to the border maybe, you're on a cell tower in Mississippi. So just be aware. I don't know if there's anyone else that have done this or not. Over at Tech Radar, apparently X knows where you are, but YouTube doesn't care. Well, I'll tell you that isn't true. When I use YouTube here in the United States, and then I get on an airplane and I go to the Philippines and I load my YouTube account up, I often have to verify my account to prove who I am. YouTube does want to know where you are, but apparently X wants to really know where you are. A study from leading VPN provider Surfshark has analyzed the default location permission required by the top 10 social media apps and found that most of them are very data hungry, if not stalkery. That's what they're using. And who's the worst? 8 collect precise location information. Instagram, Threads, and Facebook all need a lot, as does Pinterest. Snapchat needs less. LinkedIn and YouTube require almost none. A lot of this is advertised targeting. And now they know VPNs too. They target the VPNs. They have all the VPNs mapped. So they may still know your general region. Hackers are looking to steal Microsoft logins, some using devious new tricks. Here's how to stay safe. Well, again, it's a phishing scheme. It abuses ads in Microsoft Active Directory and Federation services designed to steal login credentials, so users should take care. So there's an in-depth report that has been pushed out by Push Security. they send you to a fake login page that mimic authentic Microsoft 365 sign-in screens. Instead of sending victims directly to the site, which would probably get flagged by security solutions quickly blocked, they use a Microsoft feature called Active Directory Federation Services. Companies normally use it to connect their internal systems to Microsoft services. So the phishing link was not being distributed by email, but rather malvertising. Victims were searching for Office 365, which is presumably a typo, Office 265, and then taken to a fake travel site, and they try to log you in and steal your credentials. So be careful out there. The AirPod Pro 3 are rumored to be launching very soon with a key upgrade. Could be that they are going to monitor your heartbeat. And it makes sense that they would, because if you ever stuck your finger in your ear and heard your dum, 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 heard your heartbeat, it makes pretty good sense that they would use an earbud to detect your heartbeat. Apparently, retro is in. It's 2025. The latest mega album has just been released on cassette tape. Taylor Swift dropped Life of a Showgirl on digital vinyl and the old jewel case pencil spinners. But why? Release on cassette tapes are becoming more common among some stars who are cashing in on growing love of retro tech. Of course, remember the reboot of classic computer Commodore 64 and so forth back about 6 or 7 years ago. We know that last month, smart meter company Smart Energy surveyed 2,000 people in the UK to see what tech they missed. And a lot of people miss their cassette tapes and old MP3 players and even VHS tapes. I have bought some brand new, years ago, I bought a brand new VHS player so that I could have the best quality in digitizing what VHS tapes I have. I'm still working through probably 500 high 8 tapes. So that's a whole nother story to digitize all this stuff. If you are in Philly or Dallas, Netflix is going to be opening a permanent entertainment and shopping venue. You'll be able to go to that. I don't know where in those two cities, but that is very soon to be forthcoming. Also, it's not a good idea to build a malware switch into your employer's website so that when you get fired, it causes all kinds of havoc. A software developer sabotaged his employer after being demoted. Davis Liu, a Chinese national, created a kill switch that would lock out all users. He was just sentenced to 4 years in jail and an additional 3 years of supervised supervision. And this happened all the way back in 2019. So he built some very bad malware that cost his employer hundreds of thousands of dollars to undo. The FBI is also warning Russian hackers are targeting thousands of critical U.S. infrastructure IT systems. Surprise, surprise, surprise. In some cases, hackers have been able to modify configuration files to enable unauthorized access, which they have used to conduct reconnaissance on networks. Cisco Threat Intelligence Research Talos explained in separate advisory that a subcluster of this group, which it is named Static Tundra, is targeting a 7-year-old vulnerability in the company's smart install feature. The firm has offered a patch for the vulnerability, but remains a problem in unpatched and end-of-life devices. So if you have an old device on your network, you've got to keep it updated. Once they establish initial access to a network device, Static Tundra will pivot further into the target environment, compromising additional network devices and establishing channels for long-term persistence and information gathering. So again, this is on a Cisco product. So if you're the IT guy or gal or know someone in the IT, you might want to link this up to them. Of course, if it's a government agency, they should know about this and should have patched this stuff, but you just never know. This old stuff often gets ignored because it's not cool to work on no more. You may have noticed iOS 26 bumps up charging speeds of the iPhone 16 models, 25-watt wireless third-party charging. So iOS 26 will unlock extra charging speeds on iPhone 16 models. And you should see the final version of the software roll out in September. So the beta testers have been seeing this. So nice. NASA's Webb telescope has discovered 300 mysterious objects that shouldn't exist. And basically, it's 300 objects that are shining brighter than they should be. The question is this the first time we've looked? Or is this just a guesstimation? These mysterious objects are candidate galaxies in the early universe, meaning they could be very early galaxies. If even a few of these objects turned out to be what we think they are, our discovery could challenge current ideas about how galaxy formed in the early universe, the period when first stars and galaxies began to take shape. So they go into their clues and things they've detected and things they're seeing and developing their final answers here. But our science continues to evolve, tells you how little we really don't know. 2.5 billion, yes, billion Gmail users are endangered after a Google database hack. A hacker group gained access to Google databases and is now attempting to scam Gmail and Google Cloud users. So it's a phishing attack. Users describe how alleged Google employees had contacted them by phone to inform them of a security breach in their account. In these scam attempts, attackers are trying to take over Gmail accounts by triggering alleged account resets and then intercepting passwords to subsequently lock out the account holder. Another attack method involves dangling buckets to steal data or inject it into Google Cloud. So how to protect yourself. To be safe, you should ensure your account is protected against unauthorized access. Google has provided the following security measures for this purpose. Use Google Security Checkup to automatically identify security vulnerabilities. Activate Google's Advanced Protection Program to get additional security barrier that blocks download of potential harmful files. And use passkeys instead of passwords. Again, remain vigilant out there, ladies and gentlemen. America's secretive X-37B spaceplane, not so secretive in some of the stuff they talked about, will test a quantum alternative GPS for the U.S. Space Force. Yes, a quantum alternative to GPS. So GPS is very sensitive to being basically blocked from not hackers, but from interference. And this new tech could revolutionize how spacecraft, airplanes, ships, and submarines navigate in environments where GPS is unavailable. In the old days, when we didn't have GPS, there was this system in the airplane called an inertial navigation system that when you were on the ground, you spun up, stabilized, put in the exact location, and it detected as you moved, it calculated your new position. Now, they weren't always perfect, and if you're flying for a long time, you had to update them. And it was awesome done by shooting a star or basically doing some calculations to recalculate where you're at. But for many, many years, there was no GPS when I was flying, and we used inertial navigation systems. And there was two of them, and we looked at the offset, and there was all kinds of things. But basically, quantum uses a very similar function. Now, traditional international navigation systems use accelerometers and gyroscopes to measure a vehicle's acceleration and rotation, as they estimate position by tracking how the vehicle moves over time. Eventually, though, without visual cues, again, small errors accumulate and you lose your positioning. At very low temperature, atoms obey the rules of quantum mechanics. They behave like waves that can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Two properties that lie at the heart of the quantum inertial sensors, aka the quantum inertial sensor board, the X-37, uses a technique called atom interferometry, where atoms are cooled to the temperature of near absolute zero, so they behave like waves. Using fine-tuned lasers, each atom is split into what is called a superposition state, similar to Schrödinger's cat, so that it simultaneously travels along two paths which are then recombined. But these two paths interfere with each other, creating a pattern similar to overlapping ripples of water. Encoded in this pattern is detailed information of how the atom's environment has affected the journey. Shifts in motion, rotation, acceleration. leave detectable marks on these atomic waves. So this is some heavy-duty, cool science. So won't be in your airplane anytime soon, that's for sure. But quantum computing and quantum communications really will be able to change the entire world if it actually works. Again, rumors, foldable iPhone coming next year to feature 4 cameras, Touch ID, Apple cellular modem, etc. That's the rumor. We'll see. And a court upholds a $92 million fine against T-Mobile over illegal location data sales. So they're going to have to pay this. Last year, FCC fined T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T nearly $200 million for illegally selling customers' location data. T-Mobile's judgment has now been upheld. They're going to have to write the check. So selling our data does not come without consequence, for sure. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure to bring you a show today. Don't forget, you can stay in contact with me, geeknews@gmail.com, @geeknews on Twitter. Don't forget about our sponsor, GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And for those of you who are not insiders yet, consider becoming an insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider with a $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 monthly donation. You can also make a single solitary donation there as well to help the show out. We definitely appreciate every time that you do. Should be getting the GoDaddy results for this month any day now. And I'll be able to report to you on that in the next coming show. But again, a continued thank you for your sponsoring the show. Thank you for allowing me to be on travel here quite a little bit, but no off time for the foreseeable future. It's been my pleasure bringing the podcast. I'll be back with you on Thursday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. You all take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.